In today's episode, you will learn about the importance of lifelong learning and why it is essential for you to do. What you need to know to do this effectively, as well as easy ways you can get started. Stay tuned to learn more. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Growth Philosophy Podcast, a bite-sized weekly podcast focused on empowering you to think better and upgrade your life. So let's talk about lifelong learning and its importance. Lack of education is still one of the biggest causes of economic and health problems around the world. It is without a doubt one of the key sources of the problems still plaguing the world. Lack of knowledge causes people to stay in the dark and hold on to redundant and even harmful beliefs that lead to issues like fundamentalism and climate change denial. Since you're listening to this talk, lack of education isn't an issue you need to be worried about. You're one of the lucky ones in that sense. That awareness about it, though, is still important because it is people like you who can do something about it then. But that's a topic for another talk. For today's talk, let's focus on lifelong learning. Let's dig into that more. Knowledge is important, without a doubt. And thankfully, you are fairly knowledgeable. You've learned quite a bit. You've gone to school, you've probably even gone to college, so you have learned quite a lot. However, learning does not stop once you finish college or university. Learning has to be a lifelong process, and you will find out more about it as we continue talking. So, lifelong learning has to be a lifelong process. Just finishing school, college or university is not the end of learning. Why? Because the world is constantly changing. It is constantly changing. Also, we are always finding out things that we did not know before. I grew up learning that Pluto is a planet. But now scientists have realized that Pluto is not a planet. Unless you keep your knowledge up to date, you won't know about such changes and developments, and that can cause not just confusion, but even serious errors of judgment, which in turn will have negative impact on your life and even on the lives of others. In that sense, lifelong learning is not just a smart thing to do, it is an essential thing to do. The world is constantly changing and evolving, and the first step to adopt to those changes and make the most of them is through learning about them. The rationale for this is a simple one. Really simple one. Unless you know about the changes, you won't be in a position to do anything about them. Let me repeat that. Unless you know about the changes and developments, you won't be in a position to do anything about them. It is only when you know about the development or change that you can even begin to do something about it. Simple. Simple and seemingly common sense, but unfortunately, it is not. So far in my life, I've met many people who are resistant to change. People who believe they know everything they need to know. People who are confident that they don't need to know anymore. That is a bad mindset to have, and nearly always comes back to haunt you. I've seen that happen time and time again. The best way not to fall in that trap is to make learning a lifelong process. A really great way to enjoy the benefits of continuous learning is to learn complementary skills. So this is one way that you can get benefits from it right away. For example, improving your typing speed and accuracy will have a significant positive impact on your work. It might not seem like that initially, as it might only save you a few seconds or minutes each time, but all those seconds and minutes will add up in the long haul and save you a significant amount of time. So learning about things that can have a positive impact on your life, like complementary skills, is a great way to improve your life, and is also a great way to get immediate benefits from the process of making learning a lifelong process. Now, lifelong learning is not just about learning more about your topic of expertise or work, however. It is also about expanding your horizons. Learn about different things, not just about your favorite topic or the subject of your work. Do not confine yourself. Learning about other things expands your horizons, makes you more creative, and also makes you more adaptable to change. It improves your life. It is a great thing to do, to learn about different things and not just the things that you know about. Steve Jobs is perhaps the most famous example of the benefit of learning different things. Now, we all know that he dropped out of college. It's a famous fact. Now, when he dropped out of Stanford, he didn't literally stop going to college, however. No, he actually spent quite a bit of time hanging around Stanford, attending classes that were completely unrelated to his field of expertise, like the class he attended on calligraphy. So he stayed around and attended classes that just piqued his interest, his curiosity, and he just attended them. His knowledge of completely unrelated topics ultimately helped create one of the most pioneering and visually attractive computing systems in the world, and is also the basis of the visually appealing fonts we use today. It's good to learn about different things, and it's not hard to do. A great source of information on various topics is YouTube. There is something on nearly anything you can think of on YouTube, so you can just pick something random to learn about every week or so to keep yourself learning and expanding your horizons. Books, documentaries, and podcasts on diverse topics are also great ways to expand your horizons. Now, as if the positive impact continuing to learn has on your work and personal life was enough, there is another great way lifelong learning benefits you. Learning new things is one of the best ways to improve your memory. I repeat, learning new things is one of the best ways to improve your memory. If you want to improve your memory, your brain, learning new things is one of the best ways to do it. The process of learning new things helps create new neural pathways in your brain, which in turn keeps your brain active and strong. This is also a great way to take preventative measures against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. As such, if you want to keep your brain healthy and strong, lifelong learning is something you just cannot ignore. So as you've learned, continuing to learn is not just good for you, it is essential. So how can you do it? How can you get started? Here's the great news. Continuing to learn and staying up to date isn't complicated. It can be as simple as reading insightful and informative articles and books, watching documentaries and informational TED Talks, or listening to audiobooks and podcast shows. The effort doesn't have to be massive. Even a few minutes a day is good. I won't tell you to spend half a day every day reading books like Warren Buffett does. If you want to do that, great. But not everyone will want to spend that much time and energy on learning, and that's okay. To each their own. You can keep learning even by spending just a small amount of time a day. It can be as simple an effort as spending just 10 minutes reading articles on your favorite reputable source of information, or spending a few minutes a day watching a TED Talk, or listening to an audiobook or podcast. There is a huge range of options available to you these days, so choose the medium or mediums that work for you, and then commit to spending just a bit of time, just a small amount of time regularly to keep yourself up to date and learning. You need to make lifelong learning part of your life. Back in the days, I had the opportunity to spearhead the continuous professional development programs in 2 organizations. These 2 organizations were in vastly different sectors. One was in media, while the other was related to law. Even though they had very little in common, being in completely different sectors and all that, continuous development is one thing that they did have in common. Heck, for one of those, the one related to law, CPD was actually compulsory for all the practicing advisors, and for good reason. You would not want to be advised by a legal professional who doesn't know about the changes in the law after all. The need for continuous learning isn't just important in the legal sector, however. It is like that in every industry, in every sector. No matter what sort of work you do, continually growing and improving is essential. It might not have as significant an impact as not knowing the current regulations if you practice law, but even if the effect is not tangible and highly visible, there is always an effect of not keeping up to date. Always. And always the impact is a negative one over the long haul. Often the distinction is simple. Not often, always. Those who keep learning keep progressing and moving up. Those who keep learning keep progressing and moving up, whereas those who resist change and refuse to learn and stay updated fall behind and at some point become a liability. This is not just true for work, however. Continually learning, growing and improving has a big impact on your personal life too. Refusing to learn and grow can have a negative impact on the overall quality of your life, whereas making an effort to keep learning and growing will, without a doubt, improve your life. Without a doubt. Here is the bottom line. You can't grow without making learning a lifelong process. And if you stop growing, you become stagnant, stale, and outdated. It might sound harsh, but it's just the reality. I don't want to sugarcoat it for you. Thankfully though, you don't have to worry about that because as you have learned in this talk, keeping yourself up to date and making learning a continuous lifelong process is simple to do and can even be fun. That's the other thing to remember, by the way. It's fun to learn new things. So have fun with it and continue to grow and improve yourself. I hope you found this talk useful. Let me know if you have any suggestions or questions. I look forward to having you guys listen in again next week. Same place, same time. Until then, remember to take care of your thoughts because how you think matters a lot. Alright everyone, have a great week.